So how many of you found yourself somewhere and not remembered how you got there? And I'm not talking like you drank too much at a party. This is actually a relatively common phenomenon that you may have noticed if you drove yourself from home to school along the same route every single day. You show up at school and you can't remember exactly how you got there. You just did it without thinking about it. This also might happen to you if you go through the same routine every night. Brush teeth, wash face, brush hair, pajamas. Or every morning. Grab bowl, grab cereal, add milk. You start to do these things and don't actually think about going through the motions as you're doing them. On a smaller scale, you might do this maybe when you're opening a locker or when you're heading a paper that you just pulled out of your bag. So slightly above this autopilot mode, there's the point where you don't really think about the decisions you're making because you just make the same decisions you've always made. You stick with what you're comfortable with. So many people spend a lot of their time eating the same foods they've always eaten, talking to the same types of people they've always talked to, passing their time in the same types of way that they always do. And I'm here to try to persuade you that you should not be one of those people. You should not let yourself slip into the mode where your body's going through the motions without you. You should not just do what is easy and comfortable. You should work to incorporate change into your life in order to exercise your brain, to allow yourself to potentially discover better ways of doing things, and to increase your liking of a variety of things. So an easy way to start doing this is to do something that you do anyway, and do it in a new way. So a common example of this that I've heard is brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. But an equally legitimate way to go about doing this is to change that routine order. Wash your face and then brush your teeth. Or to close your eyes while you're taking a shower. Maybe think about how you're walking and try not to step on any of the cracks. So all of these small alterations are likely to slow you down, and they'll feel a little bit awkward at first, and they take creativity to come up with, which is a large part of why not many people do them. But I'm here to tell you that they are worth it. All of these things fall under this category of neurobics. Great word, right? Neurobics. Neurobics have actually been shown to lead to an increase in growth of dendrites and neurons, which the relatively immediate effect then is an increase in memory capability and in cognitive ability. They're still looking at the long-term effects of this, but a study by the National Institutes of Health indicates that elderly people that deliberately incorporate neurobics into their life can actually improve their mental capacity to that of someone about 10 years younger than them. And they've also looked and it seems to reduce the occurrence of Alzheimer's. So a better way to keep your mind sharp, if you're willing to put in the extra effort, is to go above doing something familiar in an unfamiliar way and to actually do something unfamiliar. So perhaps you could take an alternate route, but something easy. Something significantly harder would be to pick up an entirely new hobby. So this stimulates your brain to a larger degree than just doing the familiar things in new ways does, and it also exposes you to the possibility of discovering a better way to do something than you knew about before. So maybe you try taking the longer path and you discover that it's more beautiful, or that it's actually faster because it's less crowded. Maybe you try swing dancing instead of your usual clubbing and discover that you like it better, or that it's a better way to meet people. Maybe you pick up a sci-fi book instead of a mystery and you start to think about the world in a new way. The biggest protest against this is that it's inconvenient or that it's scary. My response to this is that you should just try to incorporate new things in your life in a time when they're less likely to be risky than normal, or at least not more likely to be risky. So don't try taking that new path on your way to an important business meeting. Don't go try swing dancing on a first date with someone you want to impress. But if you make sure that you minimize the risks when you can, the potential benefits of trying new things should more than outweigh the costs. So if your foray into the unknown is unsuccessful, you can always go back to the thing that you've always done. Now with increased knowledge of why it is that this is the best thing you're doing, you could appreciate it more, and you've also gathered information. So if something changes, say it's raining, maybe that longer path would be better now because it's covered, and you only know that because you tried it. So sometimes when you're making decisions, you're not making decisions based on information. It's all about personal opinion. In this case, trying new things is beneficial for an entirely different reason. So if you try a new food, you're not likely to pick it based on information about it. You're likely to pick what you're going to eat based on how well you like it. But picking a new food that you may not like is actually likely to increase how much you'll like it later, or foods that are similar to it. This is called the exposure effect, also known as the familiarity principle, and it just means that you are more likely to like something that you have been previously exposed to just because you've been previously exposed to it. So the common study example that you can find is children with vegetables. If you insist that your children try vegetables over the course of a week or so, just put it in your mouth, just try it, and have them rate how much they like said vegetables, their liking for the vegetables will actually increase. Something that you're more likely to have come noticed in your life is maybe a song on the radio. Maybe the first time you hear it, it's okay, but it gets really popular, and so you hear it on the radio all the time, you hear it at all the parties, all of a sudden it's one of your favorites too, just because you've heard it a bunch. And in addition to liking this song better, you're also a lot more likely to like other songs on the same album by the same artist because they're similar and the exposure effect bleeds over. So if you get up to nerve to try something really scary, like haggis, you're more likely to enjoy pate at a fancy party later. It could have benefits in unexpected ways. So while it's harder to calculate the exact effects of how much this is beneficial because happiness is something that's harder to measure, it is likely that if you try new things, you will be more likely to enjoy a variety of things that your life could throw at you in the future. So I would say that it is worth picking something new over something tried and true every once in a while. So when I proposed giving this speech to various friends of mine, bouncing ideas off of them, I did run into repeatedly being reminded that in order for it to be a persuasive speech, you have to be arguing against something. And everybody that I talked to was all for change. It was great. But the thing is that not many of them did it. Not many of them will put in the energy to actually make changes. So if you remember, I said in my first speech, one of my philosophies is that there's no such thing as too old. There's only too out of shape, too scared, and too lazy. What I'm arguing against in this speech is the too scared and the too lazy. And also the too uncreative. I believe, and I hope that I have convinced you, that going out of your way to make changes, while it is difficult, is worth the discomfort, worth the extra energy, worth the risk. I've tried to provide a variety of suggestions for new things that you can do relatively easy or things that might inspire you to try other changes that might be more appropriate to your life. And it's worth it. It can benefit your mental capacity, help you discover better alternatives to doing things, and increase your enjoyment of a variety of things. So go somewhere new, talk to a stranger, do something different or something differently. Try something, try anything, try everything you can, and be ready to reap the benefits.